Hi guys, this is Mike L from the Comic Book Syndicate. We just saw Star Wars 15. Let's see what everyone thought.
I definitely thought it was as terrible as everyone thought it was. One, I'm a moron and wore glasses to a 3D film. I was also just having trouble with my glasses and seeing any kind of plot either. So, Becca?
It was so dark I couldn't see the plot. Well, as everybody who watches this know, I'm a trash queen and I love every movie that's bad. It was okay. It was okay.
It was okay?
I mean, Lando was gorgeous. It was okay. Also, gays in space, finally.
I enjoyed it. I hate to be in the minority, but I enjoyed it. I mean, it is what it is. It's like, to me, it was like when you read kind of the old Marvel comics and you get a little side story that has nothing to do with Jedis, and you just want a serviceable, kind of fun adventure story. That's what it was. I think if you're heaping expectations on it like it's one of the episode 6, 7, 8 movies, it's not going to live up to that. But as a little side movie, I think it did what it was supposed to do, which is entertain you.
Okay, so let's point out, this movie was written by Lawrence Kasdan, who wrote Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and Force Awakens, and his son, Jake Kasdan. I thought the story was good. It did have a lot of surprises and twists at the end, but overall, I think a lot of us felt like the dialogue was flat. The jokes kind of fell flat. Did you guys feel that?
Oh yeah, the jokes definitely, I could feel that there was like a pace that they were trying to keep up with. There were jokes. There weren't a lot of laughs though. They mostly fell flat. It's like they thought that they should keep up the pace from the other movies that introduced more of like a jokey script dialogue-y atmosphere, but it didn't work with this one almost at all.
Ron Howard's not known for his comedies, and the original directors of this film are known for their comedies, and I think it was maybe an overreaction of trying to trim all of their material out. So I think maybe had the original director stayed on, you would have had a lighter movie. Who knows?
The reason it felt so flat in the first 2/3 is because it's like you said, it's like they went through and they trimmed out anything that was a little bit too funny, a little bit too wacky, and now you're left with this movie that's like nothing. I like the last third, but the first 2/3 of the movie, it's like it has no rough edges. It has no spontaneity. There's no please go back and watch A New Hope. George Lucas set up the camera and he let the actors just play off each other. Harrison Ford puts his feet up. And there's takes that are rough and not quite perfect. And Star Wars needs to get that back. And it gets a little bit of it at the end, but overall, that's what they did. They shaved off all the spontaneity.
It maybe feels a little over-polished. It's what happens when you have a movie that goes through creative growing pains. Everybody chimes in, everybody has an opinion, and you start sanding off all the rough edges, like you say, and maybe it gets a little generic. Again, I found the movie serviceable. I enjoyed it. It was worth my $14 or whatever it was. But you can see that it lacks a spark.
I really liked Lando. I felt like when a lot of the other actors in this movie weren't as comfortable as Donald Glover is in front of a camera. I understand the actor who played Han Solo, he definitely had some big shoes to fill. And I feel like Donald Glover wasn't worried about filling shoes. He was just worried about being Lando, and he nailed it. I loved his Lando. As soon as Lando shows up and his droid, L3, and I never remember the names of the droids, and I was like, this feminist social justice droid is my new favorite thing ever. That, I was like, oh, this movie's fun all of a sudden. And it's not there's slaves, and oh, everyone's dying, and oh, it's war, and all Scarface McVision guy. I felt it was more Star Warsy after that, and then literally as soon as Lando's pieces out, then me too. I was gone out of the movie. I was like, oh, cool, end. I'm ready to leave.
Oh, why did he? Yeah, I was like, oh, he flew away. All right, and then it's exactly the moment that Becca witnessed me shut my eyes and sleep for 15 minutes.
I didn't even think to wake her up. I was like, she'll figure it out.
That was actually my favorite scene in the movie, but it was because when Han does the joke about all I have to do is snap my fingers and 1,000,000 guys will come out, and the ship just flies away. That, to me, was the best gag in the movie. But I didn't like it because of the way you liked it because it was the end of the movie for you, right?
Well, no, I thought that joke was funny, too. It was another thing was the jokes that were funny in this movie were all Lando. Were all Lando playing off of others. Yeah. Was all Lando's droid playing off of others. Those jokes were a lot better than most of the other ones. And then as soon as Lando leaves the movie, so does that like charm and that Star Wars whimsy where he's like, lullaby, I'm gonna go to what's Lando's planet, Cloud, whatever?
Bespin.
Once Chewie and Han Solo get together and you see them on screen together and interacting, it really is a testament to two really well-developed characters. Because it shows, as long as you can get actors who can act and put them in those roles, those two are magic together. And they're like the universal best friend model. They're like best friend goals or whatever the fuck
Squad goals.
No.
Squad
No,
goals.
Best
squad's
friends.
more than
Squad's
two.
more than two.
Oh.
I really enjoyed when Han and Chewie meet. I thought that was a great action scene. I won't give it away. And I also thought the production design, the look of the movie, you're in a Star Wars universe, they nailed that. I mean, the cinematography was great, the production design was great, the performances were decent. You disappeared into a Star Wars movie for 2 hours. I understand the expectations because you've got this immense brand with all this money behind it, and there's all these creative differences happening within the brand. It's that kind of catch-22 when you have more money to make a movie, you have more voices, more cooks in the kitchen, and you end up sometimes with these movies that don't really have a huge voice, but the money's on screen, and the movie it celebrates the Star Wars universe. And
Don't get too excited. What did you guys think about the bad guy played by Paul Bettany? I thought he was awesome. He was almost a little bit like a Nazi.
With all those scratches on his face, he kind of looked like Mads Mikkelsen when he was turning around. I was like, wait a second. I thought Rogue One wasn't supposed to be part of this world either. But then when he turned around and I saw that it was the Vision, I was like, oh, the X-Men are coming. Okay.
I always find it annoying when you have a character that has disfigurement or scratches on their face, and then they don't give you the backstory of how that happened. So, every time I see him on screen, I'm like, oh, are we gonna get to the heart of his character? Why is he a bad guy? Is it something to do with these scratches? No, they just never explain it. So, that's the only thing that I would say is a deficit against this character. We don't really have any backstory as to his motivations. He's just an evil guy.
He was a good evil guy, though. Like, Paul Bettany is... Like, I like Paul Bettany's vision, but Paul Bettany is really good at being bad guys. He nails that, like, creepy, sexy, like, kind of a... I know...
Cunning, calculating.
I don't look for sexy in my bad guys.
But he's, like, the Loki of bad guys, where it's like, yeah, I'm, like, evil, but, like, also... not to my girlfriend, LOL. Like, the kind that, like, all the girls swoon over. He had that kind of suave, like, badassery about him that I really liked. Dumb weapon, though. Like, why?
Yeah, it was like a blade.
But why do we need lightsabers in this?
Lightsaber blades, light blades.
Yeah, my double-bladed knives have kyber crystal tips. Don't forget, it's Star Wars.
What about the love interest in the movie played by Emilia Clarke? I thought she was okay. There wasn't much to her.
She was there to get Han motivated, and then once they took his motivation away, I was like, okay, why do we need her or him? Now it's just weird. Like, once you find out that she's sold to slavery or into whatever she's sold to Paul Bettany, like, I really didn't get that, but I wasn't like trying to find answers either. Once they introduced that part, I was like, oh, okay, but she also is like, okay, we're just friends. I didn't really see where that was going. They probably could have given him a stronger reason to get out of that dirt hole. They could have given him a much bigger motivation other than a woman. I mean, the fact that they're all slaves there and everyone's just trying to get off is like big enough motivation for anyone to get out of there. So like they almost didn't need her.
They didn't need her. I mean, it just felt like now I'm starting my cool adventure. Oh yeah, my girlfriend. It's like, I made a new best friend and I'm like gonna go sleep with Lando. Oh, but my girlfriend, like, she got in the way of everything. Rude. My ship. No, I don't know. It's just like she was on like 800 different sides and I didn't care which side she was on and I didn't care. I was like, when did she die so that Han could move on from this? Like, and that's not a good thing. And it wasn't even like, it's not her fault. It's not that she was a badly written female character. She just was a useless, pointless character.
I thought it was a little bit of a step backward from Rogue One, where you had the lead being a female and, empowering everybody to take on the Empire. And now, I understand Han Solo was the main character, but you're right, she was just his his girlfriend, and there are layers to her character. You're not sure which side she's on, etc., etc. But yeah, it's a little bit of a step back to kind of have such a traditional kind of female co-lead.
Yeah, it's not really good when your best female character in your movie is a robot. So,
What did you guys think about the guy that played Han Solo? I thought he was said to be terrible. I thought he was good. He could have been a lot worse, but he should have been a lot better.
It came together for me. In the beginning, I was very fearful of the whole thing. His acting was flat. Her acting was flat. I mean, with someone with so much clout, like Amelia Clark, I don't know. I was very, very worried from the very beginning, and it didn't really get better until they kind of like got rid of her, and he buddied up with Chewie and like Lando and Haymitch. We forgot to talk about Woody Harrelson, but really,
he's in this movie.
he's there too.
He's in there. I didn't mind him. I mean, like, he felt like a youngish Han Solo to me. I mean, I think the fault is that he wasn't written that well a lot of the times. Like, some of his jokes and his one-liners, like, even, I felt like in the movie people weren't, like, even Chewbacca wasn't laughing. Like, it was like, it was strange. Like, no one in our theater was laughing. He would, like, deadpan, like, it felt like I was in the office. He's just like, can you believe it? And I'm like, no.
Yeah. It was like all of his lines were written in service to the character that we're familiar with. And that really took away from it. I was so interested. I was so excited to see a fresh take on a younger version, like, of this rapscallion that I already know. But then I just got the same kind of like one-liner feeding in order to like just Easter egg like the original trilogy, and it was kind of sad.
Yeah, it was like he just was there to be good at everything and to make jokes. And I was like, okay, yeah, but who is Han Solo? Like, I know that he's good at everything and he can make jokes, but what else?
I think it's very big shoes to fill. I think if there was another, let's say there was a sequel to this film, I think you'd find his performance would be a lot better. I think he was finding his footing, and then you had three different directors giving him different kind of guidance on the character. I think it was in the writing. I think his performance is decent. I think if they did another film with him, I would say keep him as the lead. He was definitely on the right path. He just didn't quite get there, but I think that's really the writing.
There were some parts where he was quite charming, and I was like, oh, I can see it now. He's like, wasn't, like, I know people characterize Han Solo as a womanizer and all this stuff, and Han's not that, and this guy wasn't that, so I appreciated that. But it was like, I don't know, there were some parts where I was like, yes, Han Solo, and there were other parts where I was like, cool, a movie. So we're going to talk about my favorite stuff in everything. It's fan service, and
I think they feel the need to surprise the fans. In particular, without spoiling it, I thought this one was a bit of a far reach, who they chose to bring back. But it's not like I could offer a more suitable alternative to it. But there's certain things that certain things fit in, like the dice, especially after Last Jedi, you really play up the dice. Okay, that's good fan service, but the certain characters appearing out of nowhere, it's a little weird.
There aren't many characters they can bring back. There's a few as far as original actors, but the one that they did choose, you're right, it doesn't fit logically, but if you're going to bring back somebody, why not let it be him? And it wasn't bad, it wasn't great, but I was fine with it. And I gotta say, as we were watching the movie, I swear in my head, I was like, wouldn't it be cool if they brought back? And they did. So I saw it coming.
Even when I feel like I'm being hit over the head with fan service, there's a problem, because I'm not the one that they're talking to. I'm on the Enterprise. Like,
I mean, there were some parts where it's like, how many Han Solo references can we make in one movie? And I get that the movie's called Solo, but there was a point where I was like, oh, cool, I understand that reference. And then there was like, oh, I understood that reference. Can we move on from it? Like, the parsecs thing was cool. Like, I liked that little bit of the backstory. And the chessboard was cool to pop in, but Last Jedi, they did that. And then they're like, oh, don't forget it's here. And, like, when you find that the Millennium Falcon goes from pristine to not so pristine, I like, that was cool.
If Star Wars A New Hope is a 10 out of 10, and Empire is a 10 out of 10, which I'm assuming you agree they are, what is this out of 10?
6 out of 10. It gets a pass.
Where does it rate in relation to the other Star Wars movies?
Well, I hope you're not talking about the prequels, because those get 0 out of 10 for me.
Okay. Compared to
Rogue One, I I would put it at slightly below Rogue One, just because the stakes of the story are a lot smaller. And in terms of the saga films, it's not really fair to compare them.
I do recommend this film, but only because the last third picked up. And as far as compared to the other Disney films, it's probably the weakest. I'm not excited to rewatch this again. I've seen Rogue One 3 times and it got weaker each time. And this one, I'm worried about what I'm going to think this second time around.
I actually thought, like, during the first half, after they got off that plane, I was like, oh, do you know what? I feel like this has rewatchability. And then things started to happen that made me change my mind quickly. It was super cheesy. I mean, when they rolled the credits and it was like directed by Ron Howard, I was like, oh, there you are. That's why. Okay. Sorry. No watchability.
You know, there's an alternate universe somewhere where they let the original directors keep filming. I think it was a budgetary thing. They were just over, from what I've read, they were over budget, over time. But you needed a fresh spin. That's why you took something that was a very generic story, which we know, we kind of know everything that's going to happen in this story because we've heard all the old Han Solo folklore. And then you threw 2 really unique directors at it who would make it more comedic or more interesting or just take a different spin on it. And they went too far out for the corporation, so then they get somebody in to just kind of do the same thing, the straight and narrow.
Are they now telling me, are they saying that what, Solo isn't his last name?
I kind of rolled my eyes. Like, look.
Well, it's the Corleone thing, right? It's the Godfather 2. It's a little throwback reference there. Yeah, that Solo is his last name, but he didn't know his last name, I think, is the point they're trying to make, maybe.
Okay, this is what I think, okay? I think the original Star Wars, let's be clear, it was a fairy tale, it was a comic strip come to life, kind of a kid's movie. And when Luke's last name is Skywalker, we know what Skywalker means. In the movie, it means this guy walks in the sky, this guy is Solo, this guy is whatever. It's like their names are filling in for what their characters are, but Solo, it means we know that guy's a rogue. It doesn't mean he must have thought of it on his own because he's Solo, he doesn't have a family, you know what I mean?
This movie should have been smaller. It was too big. They spent too much money on it.
All I can say is, guys, I'm glad you got Lawrence Kasdan, but you've got to take chances. You can't keep doing these generic movies, or the enthusiasm for Star Wars is going to go like this.
It's already starting, yeah.
Hire the right directors in the first place, and if you hire them, stick with them. Let them finish the job. And let them fall on their sword if the movie doesn't work, or you can say you took a chance and it might work even better than you hoped.
It's like that kind of, it's okay. Don't cut, the light just went out.
Yeah. Is it bright now? Right. So, what would you guys say?
What's Lando's planet? Cloud whatever?
Bespin.
Yeah, what is Cloud City?
Yeah,
Bespin.
Bespin.
Yeah.
Cloud City. How'd you like that scene when Lando and Han made out for like 20 minutes and had midway through the movie? That was my favorite part. What did you think? About fan service, not about that. That didn't actually happen.
Right. No, I think they feel the need.
Okay, question. For our super Star Wars fans, question.
Okay, so for me.
Okay.
All right.
Live long and prosper.